Right, so this is the feedback for the Target Clear mock. So just kind of explain what you've got access to. So for section A, you've got a video in this playlist which will run through the answers to the section A question, and it's definitely worth spending some time making sure you're happy with why you got certain questions wrong. Particularly things like the Q question, which I think a lot of people mixed up for number 2. So knowing your pointers and knowing how the different operations should work, like on Q, DQ, which pointers get updated, and so on. There's definitely a little bit of confusion over that, which the video goes over. That would probably be the standout question, I think. Obviously, there's the trace table as well, which is worth usually a chunk of marks. And again, the advice there is just to practice those trace tables, over the next week, one a day. And I think in particular in this paper, the type of trace table you had could be similar to what you get in the exam. It does look like there is scope for some kind of adjacency matrix or graph in the EAD document that you've got. So yeah, I'd be definitely encouraging you to do any kind of trace tables that involve graphs in particular in the preparation that you can find, and obviously look through those past paper questions to pull those out that are already on Teams. For section B, there's again some video feedback running through the solution for that, so you can check that out. Section C, I've just recorded a video going through the feedback and the mark scheme for that, and just sort of again highlighting some key areas that I think you should be happy with in terms of the pre-release and the skeleton code going into the exam. And then section D, I haven't marked for the mock. I mean, I think the rule of thumb there is that section D is going to be we're just going to have to see what comes on the day, basically, and you can usually be fairly confident that if you've got a particular question working, that you will probably have scored most of the marks for that particular section. But I will post the zigzag answers anyway, and you can cross compare if you want to against those. But generally, students that come out the exam feeling like they've done well on section D questions have actually done well and scored a good chunk of marks. Just to remind about final things for preparation then. So, I mean, obviously in terms of preparation for paper 1, 100% do the reflection on the mock you've just done. Otherwise, what was the point in doing it? And sort of have a look over and hopefully iron out some areas where you're making some hopefully fairly easy mistakes to rectify. Things like reading the question carefully, getting definitions precisely, etc. Okay, so yeah, for section A, I would recommend in terms of practice, completing past paper questions on Teams, learn the definitions, use the paper 1 checklist to find out what those definitions are that you should know. And obviously there's links to Quizlet for paper 1 as well, which is a pretty comprehensive set bank of key terms and precise definitions that you do need to know for those section A type questions. And a little lesson from the mock as well is just about obviously relating to context where appropriate. So for example, in the maze question, you did need to relate your answer to the context of a maze, not just give a general answer that could refer to any graph. Section B, again, the motto there in terms of the build up of the exam, I'll be sort of loading up those section B questions, which you can find on Teams. And again, if you complete 1 a day in the build up between now and next Wednesday, then that would be really good preparation, and that focus all the time on trying to get more efficient. And yeah, even redoing ones that you've done a few weeks ago, maybe forgotten about, okay, or finding challenges of that nature online to do, or even getting something like ChatGPT to create you some questions for section B if you've exhausted them all. But the main way to improve section B is to practice and dust off those cobwebs, because we've not been doing programming assignments like that for a fair amount of time on the course. So practice for section B. For section C, obviously look at the feedback for the video. I think that's a good starting point for the mock. And then you can see I've highlighted regex, BNF, dictionaries, hash tables, because they are clear connections to this particular pre-release. And with it not being an object-orientated program in the skeleton code, hard to see that they're going to be asking you many OOP questions. So you kind of sense that that might be a place where they make up for that by giving you more sort of traditionally Section A questions on things like regex, BNF, and dictionaries and hash tables and so on. But don't forget about your basic definitions, things like global and local variables, explaining exception handling, the structured approach, etc. So, do look through the Section C past paper questions. A lot of them will be OOP based, so you can probably ignore them. I'm not going to guarantee that, but probably ignore them. But you might well see a ton of other questions and get a feel for the questions outside of OOP that potentially could come up. And then I'd probably say with a week to go, Section D is the lowest priority. So, I mean, obviously, hopefully you've done as many of those zigzag questions as you can. But I think at this particular point, if you've completed quite a chunk of those, that would be perfect. I would say that, we've not really got any control over what's going to happen on the day. What will be, will be. So I think the key message for Section D, as long as you've got a key understanding of, some of the main routines in that particular application, then you're hopefully in a fairly decent place. And really, you should be focusing on Section A, Section B, and Section C in your preparations now, and not getting too hung up on trying to get through every single zigzag challenge that there is. Okay, so yeah, they would be my key guiding principles in terms of preparation over the next week. If you've got any questions, please do message me on Teams or contact me, and I'm more than happy to go through anything that you've got to ask.